Hey, it's me, Vicky Marie. Good morning, good afternoon, or good evening, wherever you are in this crazy world we're living in. Sorry, my hair's blowing all over the place because I've got a fan on. Might have to turn it off for a bit because it's getting on my nerves. Yes, because for those of you who don't know, I am in Spain, in Europe, in mainland Spain. It is 31 degrees. It's still hot. It's still hot. Coming to the end of the summer now. It's the 30th of August as this video goes out. And it's cooled down a tidgeon, a tiny, tiny bit, but it's still, pretty hot. So I've got all the fans on as usual. I may have to put that back on again in a minute, but it was just blowing at me. Okay, hope you're all well. In this video, we're going to talk about sort of developments in the Travis Decker case. Travis Decker, of course, is the killer dad who has killed. Actually, let's have a look at this photo. This photo makes me feel sick. Here's him playing the model dad with two of his little angels. Travis Decker, ex-army, muscly, strong. You can see that with his horrible American stars, those horrible trunks. Just like, I'm a good American. I'm a good American. I'm a good American dad. And he has murdered his three daughters, three little daughters. They wouldn't have stood a chance against him, would they? Look at him. Look at them. Look at them all hugging each other. Bless them. I hope they're all in heaven together. Just awful. We've got Peyton, Evelyn and Olivia, his three daughters, and it appears that he murdered them out of spite, and since then he's not been seen again. But the police are looking for him, of course. Is he even still alive? So we're going to look at the latest update from the FBI, what they've had to say, and we're going to watch a video talking about the possibility. I mean, it's not a possibility that bones have been found. Some bones have been found, but I think the police are very lukewarm as to whether they think they say they don't know if they're human bones, if they're animal bones. They don't know if they are Travis, or not. So there's been sent off for testing. I just feel that if it was him, maybe they would know a bit more quickly, because wouldn't he have clothes on? Or, wouldn't the bones have clothes on them that would say that it was Travis? Or maybe they're just being cautious, and it will turn out, it will result that these bones are Travis. Because he's been missing 3 months, I believe now. I think it was May that this all happened. So, he's been missing a long time. His bones, if they are his, they certainly would be skeletonized because of the weather, etc. But anyway, we're going to talk about it. I don't know that it is him. I've been sort of hanging on, waiting for some official talk about it, because, of course, all the social media have jumped on it. And it's possible. Could be Travis. These bones have been found in the vicinity of the crime scene at the national park, where he decided, for whatever reasons, he had to kill his beautiful girls. And I still think he is in that vicinity somewhere. There's some people think he may still be alive, may have travelled halfway across the country by now. But I think he would have been spotted. I mean, there have been some false sightings of him, but no positive sightings. So before I get going with that, something I just want to tell you about, just remind people that I do have a Discord. Do you remember Mrs. Thatcher saying this? Where there is discord, may we bring harmony. That's what she said on her victory speech in 1979. This is an ex-Prime Minister of the UK. Of course, she never brought any harmony, because there were strikes, there were riots during her premiership, probably the worst, unrest that we've ever seen in Britain until now, of course. There was lots of unrest, so she didn't bring any harmony. But anyway, I don't know if my Discord will bring some harmony. But yeah, if you want to chat when I'm not on YouTube, there's a few members in there now and they've been on there chatting. So it's there if people want to do it. And the link to it, actually, I did put, let me find it. I did put a link to it on my community post, didn't I? Put up a community post with the link. Let me find it and I'll put it here in chat. So yeah, if you're Discord friendly or you want to try Discord, I mean, basically it's just, you can go on there and chat at any time. Why is it not let me do that? Oh, hang on. You can go on there and chat at any time, whether I'm on YouTube or not. It's a little bit more private. The only thing that I would remind people is, the internet is never completely private. Please remember that. So be careful, what you divulge, what personal information you give away. Obviously, as always, be respectful to each other. You can talk about cases. You can talk about baking cakes. You can talk about anything you like over on there. With the sort of nice people that you've met on my channel. But yeah, always be aware that the internet is never completely private. I can't sort of stress that enough. I want people to be careful. When they're using the internet, and even if you think you can trust someone, you don't know they're really who they say they are either. So even when you go into private messages, just be careful, that's all. Please, please, please be careful. But yeah, I think it's a nice place for people who want to chat even outside of YouTube. So obviously in the lives that I do or premieres, you can all chat between yourselves. But on Discord, you can go in there, see who's in there, and you might have someone to chat to. If you're, you feel like having a chat. Sometimes I'm in there. I don't understand Discord myself that well, to be honest. So I'm not in there that often because, I don't have time, basically, because, you can't keep up with all the, what with this Twitter and Facebook and YouTube. And Instagram that I never go on. I should do more on Instagram. There's lots of social media that I can't keep up with all of it, but I do go in at least once a day, I think. So that's it. Just wanted to tell you about Discord. There's a link. Go in, join, and see who you can, what you can chat about and who you can chat to. So yeah, let's go back to, the other thing is I want to say thank you, of course, to everyone for watching, liking, subscribing. Thank you if you bought me a Ko-fi or you sent me a PayPal. Thank you for super stickers that people have sent me. Don't forget the merch, which is on my Ko-fi page. Thank you to those of you that have ordered things on there. Yeah, and any positive way you've helped support my channel, thank you so much. So I'm going to take my banner off, and say hello to my lovely lurkers. They're the people who like to watch but don't like to join in the chat. Hi to the loathsome lurkers, and hi to replay crew. Thank you so much for watching. And now, as always, I'm going to come into the chat and see who's brave enough to come in and chat in person. So yeah, maybe if you don't feel like chatting in person on YouTube, you might feel more confident in Discord because it's a bit more private. But as I say, always be aware, at the end of the day, these places on the internet, anyone can go and look at them. not completely private. So that's important. Hi, Daniel. Hope you're well. Hi, Bluebell. Hi, Heather. 23 degrees, Heather, in Cambridgeshire. Oh, my God. 31 here. I don't know when we've got rain. I'm praying for rain literally every day. Hey, I know you're you, Heather. I do know you're you. The problem is, you know, you can get chatting to someone that you might not know who they are. And these lurkers, they get on your nudges, Heather. Heather has this brilliant expression, nudges, gets on my nudges. Of course, all the lurkers get on our nudges, don't they? But anyway, they're all adding to the algorithm as long as they're watching. Even if they're disliking the videos, they're still contributing towards the algorithm. So thank you. Okay, so first thing we're going to have a look at is the FBI statement. The FBI made a statement. Let's have a look at it. Now, this was on the 29th, so it was yesterday. And this was the statement that the FBI made. The following statement may be attributed to Mike Harrington, Special Agent in charge of the FBI Seattle field office. On Tuesday, so they've been doing this intense search. They've gone back to basics, gone back to the crime scene because they've been searching for a long time and they've searched all sorts of places. But they've gone right back to the crime scene where those 3 poor little babies were found and they've worked outwards from there. And that's where they've found some interesting evidence. That's what they say, or items of interest, including bones, but not necessarily Travis's bones. So this is what they said. On Tuesday, August 26, FBI Seattle concluded our 2-day grid search operation beginning Monday, August the 25th, within the vicinity of the Rock Island campground near Leavenworth in Washington. And the mission of this search was to locate Travis Decker, discover signs of his whereabouts, or find any other evidence of the murder of his 3 daughters. Search personnel recovered several items that are being examined to determine if they are related to this investigation. Final results will take time. Finding this potential evidence emphasizes the value in having various teams search an area multiple times, especially in such challenging conditions. Yeah, I think those sort of areas, you can't search them enough almost, can you? They could probably go back in another 3 weeks and find more things. More than 100 personnel were deployed in multiple search teams for a full 2 days in remote outdoor terrain, while daylight was available. Temperatures approached 100 degrees. So that's the other thing to remember. Not only it's challenging conditions as far as the terrain is concerned, it's boiling hot, but they can't search at night when it's cooler because they won't be able to see anything. So despite the dense vegetation and challenging topography, personnel from the FBI Seattle field office, with the support of FBI headquarters and partner agencies, thoroughly searched and documented over, oh God, I'm crap with numbers. What's that? 100,000 or 1 million, is it? How many is that? Somebody tell me, please, in chat. I have no idea. Square meters. I've got number dyslexia. Or 247 acres. A search of this magnitude and detail has not previously taken place in this area. We not only accomplished our goal of covering the entire area intended for this operation, but we also searched beyond the primary search perimeter. The electronic mapping of this search effort is being provided to the Chelan, is it Chelan or Chelan? I have no idea. county sheriff's office and our federal partners. And in addition to FBI resources, other search partners include Chelan County Sheriff's Office, Spokane County Sheriff's Office, U.S. Marshal Service, Port of Seattle Police Department, Yakima Police Department, U.S. Forest Service, Wenatchee River District, U.S. Forest Service, oh, sorry, did I say that already? U.S. Army Criminal Investigation Division, Central Washington University Anthropology Department. And please reference our statement for more information about resources for this search. FBI Seattle is committed to our continued collaboration with the Chelan County Sheriff's Office, the U.S. Marshals Service, the U.S. Forest Service, and other partners to locate Decker, and are committed to bringing every available FBI resource that will advance this case for as long as it takes. If we have an update on this case, we will share it as soon as we're able. Also check for updates from the Chelan County Sheriff's Office or the U.S. Marshals Service. While FBI Seattle lead this search, the Chelan County Sheriff's Office is still the lead agency in the investigation. The United States Marshals Service is offering a reward of up to $20,000. I still think that's pretty low reward, to be honest, for a man who's murdered 3 children and is armed and dangerous. $20,000 is not a massive amount, is it? The suspect should be concerned, armed and dangerous. If you see Travis Decker, please call 911 immediately. Do not attempt to contact or approach him. Anyone with information is urged to contact the nearest U.S. Marshal's Office, the U.S. Marshals Service Communications Center, and there's the phone number, or USMS Tips at www.usmarshals.government/tips. So, yeah, you wouldn't want to approach him, that's for sure, because he was, a man who has murdered his children, especially the way he did it, which was tying their hands behind their back and suffocating them with carrier bags or plastic bags. He's not a nice person, is he? He's not going to think twice about doing something to you, that's for sure. So I think we can safely say, don't approach him. Hi, Moonbeam. Yes, there is a Discord now. Yeah, see, on Discord, you can share, photos. Although I haven't worked out how to share photos, to be honest. I don't actually understand Discord at all. I'm working my way around it. I'll get around it. I need some time to sit there and really sort of work out how to use it properly. But anyway, going back to this tragic story. So yeah, as I say, look at that. Look at him. What piece of shit he is. All these big tattoos, big He-Man muscles in his American trunks and whatever, dress the girls in, oh yeah, I'm a good old American boy. Yeah, not an immigrant, of course. Thank God for that. He's not an immigrant. Don't have to be an immigrant to be a twonk, do you? And there he is. So, I've given a little bit of background. Look at them all hugging each other. And their poor mum, Whitney, I mean, you can imagine, she's distraught. So she had custody of the children. They'd split up. He had asked to get back with Whitney. She didn't want to get back with him. I think he did all this out of spite because he felt he couldn't have the girl. So he was trying to hurt Whitney. Personally, I think that's exactly what he was trying to do. Because he'd asked her to go back with him. She didn't want to go back with him. So he's punished her in the worst way that you can imagine by murdering these 3 girls. I mean, how could you do it? What sort of a person is he? What sort of a person is this man? Disgusting. Disgusting man. And there's talk about his mental health and PTSD. I honestly, I'm past all that. There's loads of people got PTSD. There's veterans out there suffering terrible trauma from what they've gone through. They don't murder their 3 daughters. So this more than that. You can use it as an excuse. It's not an excuse. It's not even a reason. He did it out of spite, and that was it. He's a horrible person, and he deserves to go to hell, and I hope he does go to hell. Might have already gone there if he's already deceased. So we're going to watch a video now from, I think it's Law and Crime Network. Let's have a look. So we're just going to watch this video. Also appearing in this video is Steve Fisher, who I follow on X. I think is a very interesting guy who covers a lot of missing persons cases. He's quite often found missing persons. And he's been interviewed on here as well. So let's see. So yeah, just to acknowledge, give them their credit. So this is Law and Crime Network. Quite often we have a look at their videos, very interesting videos, insights into things. And they're giving their insights into what's been found. Now, we don't know the full details, of course, of what's been found. This is an ongoing police investigation. The police have released a certain amount of information, but obviously not all of it. So we have to bear in mind. So I just want to give, nobody's saying these bones are Travis Decker's. They're bones that have been found while this search was made. Whether haven't even confirmed yet if they're even human bones or not, which again to me seems strange, because I think the police would know, wouldn't they? Police have probably seen that many bones, and certainly the FBI, surely they would know it instantly, even though they need confirming whether they're human or not. But anyway, and I would have thought they would have had clothes on. But of course, you know, if there's animals in the area, animals can cause a lot of damage to bones that are left, you know, to body. If was a body there, animals can cause damage to the body and maybe take off the clothes or things. So we've got to bear all that in mind. We don't know. So I just want to say that I'm not saying these are Travis Decker's bones. They're not saying that. The FBI's not saying that. Just bones have been found.
Vanished nearly 3 months ago. Agents say they found several items in a new search for Travis Decker, including bones. We're on the case presented by Law and Crime. I'm Chris Stewart. It has been nearly 3 months since this horrible story started and we first learned the name Travis Decker.
3 months. Gosh, long time.
Decker was the dad to 3 beautiful little girls. 9-year-old.
Look at them. Just how could you? How could you? He's a Chris Watts character, isn't he?
Peyton, 8-year-old Evelyn, and 5-year-old Olivia. You can see who they were in these pictures and just get an idea of the joy that they brought into this world. Decker, their dad, was an Army veteran. He had experience in the outdoors, which perhaps explains why, since the end of May, no one has been able to find him. Not the U.S. Marshals, not the FBI, not the local sheriff's office, or the countless volunteers who have helped in the search. The truth is, still, the FBI says it is unclear if Decker is dead or alive. This week, the FBI closed off parts of...
No, it's interesting seeing those photos of him with the girls. You know, Whitney described him as an engaged dad or words to that effect. You know, this is it. You just never know, do you? He looks like a good dad, you know, doing all the right things. I don't know.
Helped in the search. And the truth is, still, the FBI says it is unclear if Decker is dead or alive. This week, the FBI closed off parts of Rock Island Campground in Leavenworth, Washington, to search for clues that could help lead them to Travis Decker. And I'll get to what items they reportedly found in just a moment and what it means in this manhunt. But let's go back to June 2nd, when the bodies of Decker's girls were found at that campground. The next part of the story, it's not easy to say because we recently learned that those girls died of suffocation, that they had multiple separate plastic bags over their heads and cables tied around their bodies per the local sheriff's office. And the new development with that is that
multiple plastic bags. I mean, what would they, you couldn't do that to them all at once. So two of those girls would be seeing the first girl. It happened to the first girl. And then the second girl, it would be done to. And the third girl would know that it was her turn coming up next. What a disgusting man. Honest to God, I'm so angry with this man. I hate him so much. If I ever saw a case for the death penalty, which I don't normally believe in, this man should get the death penalty. And although there's part of me that wants these remains to be him, that he will be found, and just, people put at peace knowing that he's not still walking, wasting air, I would have preferred for him to be brought back and brought to justice and to be held accountable for his disgusting, cowardly actions. So I don't know as long as he's caught, but if dead or alive, but it would be better if he was alive, really, because he needs to face up to what he's done. And if he's taken his own life after he killed these beautiful girls, he sort of escaped justice on this earth anyway, but he won't have escaped it on the next one.
DNA came back this month and showed that Decker, according to law enforcement, is the only suspect in these murders. His DNA was found on the evidence that was collected at the scene. Decker was last seen by his ex-wife, the mother of his children, a couple days prior on May 3rd.
Yeah, that's another thing. I think when this case first came up, I think most of us, certainly I was sort of almost hoping that somebody else had done it, that they would find that it was some random person like that horrible Devil's Den guy, that had attacked the whole family, the father and the kids. You just can't compute in your head that a father could do that to his girls. But unfortunately, all the DNA evidence after the crime scene's been processed, his is the only DNA. So he is the only suspect in these three murders.
30th, Decker picked up the three girls for a planned visitation. His ex-wife said that Decker said, "I'll see you tonight around 8 before he left, and he never returned. His ex-wife then called police. When the bodies of the three girls were found, the search for this former Army soldier began. And these are the images that law enforcement first put out showing what Decker may look like if he were still alive. The U.S. Marshals are offering $20,000 as a reward for information leading to his capture. And these are the surveillance images that law enforcement put out showing Decker prior to allegedly taking his daughters. Then we received body camera video showing him in a fender bender that happened just days before the murders. Here he is standing with officers in a grocery store parking lot back on May 27th of this year. That is 3 days before he left with his daughters. Even though law enforcement searched aggressively for Decker, they have not been able to find him. And last month they said they were pulling back resources in this search.
I want to be clear that currently we have no evidence that Travis Decker is alive or dead.
But this week, the FBI closed down that area around the campground, around the crime scene where these girls were found. They launched a new search with 100 agents searching a quarter-mile radius around the crime scene where the girls were found dead.
We have no evidence that Travis Decker is alive or dead, but we are conducting a grid search operation over the next 2 days. It's currently taking place right now. We hope to find evidence that will lead us to Travis Decker or any information regarding the murder of his three daughters. By thoroughly searching and documenting the area, we can help prevent the need to review the area in the future by collecting all possible evidence.
The The FBI said they found items they're now processing to determine if they're linked to Travis Decker. Perhaps the most noteworthy item that we've learned about is a set of bones that agents found. The FBI spoke to the Wenatchee World newspaper, which is the local newspaper in the central Washington community where all of this is taking place. And the FBI said it is unclear if those bones are that of a human being, and if they are of a human being, it's still unclear at this point whether they're Travis Decker's. More work needs to be done on that. It could take weeks to learn whether they're Travis Decker's bones. The newspaper also notes that in the past, the FBI says that they found the remains of an overdose victim. So even if it is a human being, it's not entirely out of question for it to be someone else other than Travis Decker. Now, the sheriff said this.
Yeah, and that's interesting, isn't it? Quite often when they're looking for bodies, they find bodies of other people. I think they've already found at least, well, like he said, there at least one other body they've found already. So this could be a body, could be human remains, but not necessarily Travis, but some other poor family will at least get a resolution to what happened to their loved ones. You know, the thing is, when people take themselves off to these kind of places to do things to themselves, sometimes they're never found, but often it's years before they're found. Sad, isn't it? Very sad, I think. You know, these beautiful places, because it's a beautiful place, but they've got sort of, they're quite haunting, aren't they?
This week before the search that they didn't have any new evidence to share in their case and their investigation into Travis Decker. As far as how long it could take to get answers to learn whether Travis Decker is alive, whether Travis Decker is dead, that is anyone's guess. And the sheriff even said it could take years. I want to take a moment and thank Morgan & Morgan for sponsoring today's Law and Crime YouTube takeover.
All right, this is their sponsors. I'm going to skip through that because, well, we just want to see about the girls, don't we?
.com/YouTube takeover. You can also the girls' murders. He had lived in motels and hotels, campgrounds, even his car. His ex-wife said he had suffered from mental health issues. Her attorney told ABC News that Decker's ex-wife believes that the system let her ex-husband down because he lacked the resources to get mental health help. The attorney also...
Yeah, of course, the system did let him down, but it let her down and those girls down. Because she, Whitney, the mum, let's just put her picture up again. I honestly don't know how she's getting out of bed in the morning because she had told the authorities she did not feel safe, that the girls were safe with Travis. She told them that he had mental health issues and she was worried about him. But they didn't rescind the sort of court order that he was entitled to this custody. It's only a couple of hours. It only takes a couple of hours though, doesn't it? So he was allowed a couple of hours custody. Whitney did not want to give the girls to him, but if she wouldn't have given the girls to him, then she's in trouble, isn't she? She can be arrested for breaking the custody agreement. So she let the girls go with him on that Saturday afternoon, supposedly just for a couple of hours. And that was it. Never heard from him or the girls again. And then found this devastating news after she reported, you know, the fact to the police, and the police found these poor little girls' bodies. She's got to live with that now, knowing that she sent them off with him because she didn't have a choice. Now, if he had mental health issues, he should not have been allowed to have those girls. Just, you know, that's it. Shouldn't have been allowed until he was assessed properly. But even then, I suppose, he could have been assessed properly and it could have been decided he was fine, and then in the end he wasn't fine. What do you do against these twonks?
Issues. Her attorney told ABC News that Decker's ex-wife believes that the system let her ex-husband down because he lacked the resources to get mental health help. The attorney also said the Deckers got divorced in 2023, and Travis's mental stability was one of the reasons why. Decker was allowed to see the girls for 3 hours on Fridays and 8 hours every other weekend, as long as he stayed in the area of Washington where they lived. That was per ABC News. Here's part of what Whitney Decker, Travis Decker's ex-wife, the mother of the 3 girls who lost their lives, said at a memorial service about her daughters per Como Television.
I'm so thankful for the time that I had with the girls and how the 3 feelings allowed us to connect when the world slowed down.
Oh.
And it really gave me an inside look into their day. I believe doing this with them allowed them to come into the world with open hearts and kindness.
Joining us now to talk more about this is missing persons private investigator Steve Fisher. Always great to have you on Law and Crime. And I know you've been involved, not in this search, but in searches for people in places like where they're searching and have been for Travis Decker. In this most recent search, it was a 1/4-mile radius, they say, surrounding the crime scene where the bodies of these 3 girls were found. I think for some of us who may hear that, you're like, it doesn't sound like you would need 100 agents to search that. It doesn't sound that big. But I mean, how difficult is it to search a 1/4-mile radius for evidence?
Well, and I realize that, bones were found. But I think what they're really doing at that point is they're doing a line search where literally people are shoulder to shoulder, arm lengths out. You're all stepping together, stopping, pausing, looking. And what you're looking for there is not really the body, but you're looking for evidence and sign cutting, things that give you an idea. Maybe they're backing up and saying, okay, we got to figure out which way he went or what he did. So they could be looking for everything from brush that's been pushed down where it shouldn't have been to show signs of him, and you could track him from there. It could be shell casing, it could be food wrappers, it can be anything that could possibly be tied to him. I think what they're trying to do is just get a direction on him, most likely, because when they're that tight, their primary focus probably is not looking for human remains.
Well, and I would think too, I mean, if his remains, and I know they found some bones, but they, it's been almost 3 months, and I would have assumed that area would have been, the direct area surrounding the crime scene, that that area has been looked at before.
Yeah, 3 months. I expect they searched right at the beginning that area, but as I say, so easy to miss a body, isn't it? It really is. I've said it often, but one thing I've definitely learned from covering true crime cases is bodies are not easy to find. Even people who are not trying to hide themselves. It takes ages for for them to be found sometimes. So someone like Travis, who, if he did unalive himself, maybe took himself to a place that would be difficult to get to, just out of spite, I don't know. Or maybe he didn't want to be found quickly because he was worried he might not be dead otherwise. If he'd sort of, I don't know, what did he do to himself? I mean, he killed those girls with suffocation. Maybe he did the same to himself, put a plastic bag over his head, but he didn't know how long it would take, so he hid himself because he didn't want anyone to find him and save him. There's a million reasons why he might not be easy to find. Or he may not be there. He may have done a runner. That's another possibility, isn't it? That he is alive somewhere.
It's a morbid question, but I mean, for the bones that were found, I mean, if Travis Decker was dead and his body was somewhere that someone missed in the initial days that they started searching, I mean, how much would be left of the remains, especially after summer, the summer months? And I mean, what exactly are you looking for if you're looking for remains?
Well, he'd probably be skeletalized by this point, but that doesn't prevent a forensic anthropologist from being able to, get DNA and know that they're him, kind of like in the Brian Laundrie case. But there's other things that they probably, it would be surprising if they actually found him, I think, in that radius. I also, to not know positively if those were human or animal bones is kind of surprising to me, because although maybe the people on the field can't make an immediate determination, a local medical examiner most likely would be able to. So that tells me, one, that they're either in really bad shape, which probably means they were.
Yeah, that's what I said. Even maybe those that were actually searching, they're not forensic experts, are they? Maybe they couldn't tell if they were human bones instantly. But yeah, I think most experienced forensic examiners would know instantly at looking at a bone if it was animal or not, just for their experience. But I'm always interested with what Steve's got to say. I have a lot of respect for his opinions. But it's funny because he does not seem to think that Travis is in that vicinity, whereas to me it seems logical he is in that vicinity. But, I have to bow to his greater knowledge because he's more experienced than I am at, searching for missing people.
Older. And they have found other people on these searches. They found somebody that OD'd. People do pass away and go missing in the woods. So there's other remains out there, but they could be animal. They could be animal. They could be something that Travis Decker was eating. He's got to sustain himself out there, and he could be, catching or trapping rabbits or whatever it may be, and cooking. And so there could be other signs, and they're probably just trying to tie him to I think they just need a determinate path of travel. And it's, there's a lot of resources on this. But the other thing that they said during the press conferences, they mentioned, the FBI resources and even, Customs Border Patrol, who we've seen insert themselves, not in a good way, in a lot of these high profile cases lately. They have amazing detection ability, and they brought up canines, electronic canines. And so these are canines, a lot of federal and state law enforcement agencies have them, that are actually trained to detect electronics, discarded hard drives, cell phones, and things like that are high evidentiary value. So it seems like they have those canines out there. So maybe they're looking for a phone or something.
Knowing that they have, I mean, there was I go back to June 2nd, which is when this story first came to light, and then the weeks after it, there was a big search. I mean, this was a national news story, and rightfully so. And I think of the resources like you're saying, U.S. Marshals, FBI, everything that comes with that, and yet there's just no sign of there's no trace beyond the crime scene. And I know that he has survival training from the Army, and would last certainly longer in the wilderness than I would. But at the same time, even if you have that survival training, how far does that go in outrunning those resources from all of those agencies?
Personally, I don't think he's alive, but I'm also not involved in this case. And there's certainly people that know a lot more about it than me. However, there becomes, like you said, there's that inflection point where it's okay, yeah.
There you go. He doesn't think he's alive. We tend to sort of, talk about it as if I know him. I don't know him. I follow him, but he probably doesn't even know who I am. But he said, I don't think he's alive, but he doesn't think he's in that vicinity. So where does he think he is, I wonder? Now, he could be in the water, like you said, Bluebell, because the dive teams have been in and looked. But, we know it's difficult to find someone in water. Again, you can search it one day, search it the next day, search it for 2 weeks. And then what I've found is normally as soon as they say that's it, we're giving up the search, they bloody find, these bodies pop up or they get found by the public, And that's probably what will happen with Travis if he's gone in the water. I don't think they're diving anymore. But will he get washed up somewhere? If he's gone in the water. I still think, they don't know, there's just something in my gut that's telling me he would not be far away from where those girls are. Where would he go? I don't think he would go. What would he go and live in Canada for? To what? He hated his life. He was miserable. He was suicidal. So why would he go and try and start a new life somewhere? Living with the fact that he's killed these 3 girls. Doesn't make sense to me that. I don't think he's got a purpose in going to find another life. So I do think he's deceased, and I would have, if I had to put a bet on it, I would say he was likely in that area somewhere. But anyway, we'll see. We'll see what transpires.
I have the ability to survive out there. But not only can I keep doing that, but do I want to? This could be a guy that, I mean, he knows what his fate is if he's caught. And he probably made a determination when he went on the run that maybe he was going to have, go down in a shootout with him. Maybe he just decided, hey, I've had enough, and he's taking himself out. The fact that they had those massive amount of resources out there and weren't able to pick up a heat signature from him, at the beginning, I can understand maybe why they missed him on the ground while they're searching. Because what they're doing is they're not going on a line search. They're a little bit broader, but they're also using heat detection capability, thermal capability, and to not pick him up makes me think that he's either dead and not putting off a heat signature by then, or he's further out of the area. But I think the probability of him being alive, at least just my own personal opinion, I think is pretty low right now.
I agree. I think it's a very low probability that he's still alive. Because the other thing you've got to remember is nobody has seen him. So in 3 months, he's not been spotted once. Not genuine sightings. There's been a couple of false sightings. But surely in 3 months, in an area like that, which is a public park, and other people are in that area over the summer especially, I think he would have been seen. He would have been seen, unless he's in a bunker somewhere. Now, it could be that he prepared this and he's got a place, a bunker with supplies, etc., water, but then what's he doing that for? You've got to think about the purpose of it. What would he be doing it for? He's murdered his 3 girls. He hated his life anyway before. Why would he do that? What is he looking forward to? To me, I think he's killed those girls and then he's killed himself, and he's thinking he'll be with the girls then. Of course he won't be, because he certainly won't be going to the same places they're going to. But also he did it for spite for Whitney. He asked Whitney to get back with him. She didn't want to get back with him. So it's like, I'll show you. I'm going to do, I know lots of cases similar to that. And I need to do videos on them. This is a regular occurrence. Not only with men doing it to women, but women doing it to men. If they think they can't have the child full time, then they will take the children out. That's how we're dealing with it. Instead of, killing Whitney so that she couldn't have the children, he's decided he's going to kill the children. How dare he? I mean, those innocent, they have nothing to do. I mean, it's not good for him to kill Whitney. Obviously, I'm not saying it is, but you know what I'm saying. Whitney's the one he's got the grievance with. She's his ex-wife. She's the one that whatever, I don't know why their relationship failed. She's the one that wouldn't go back with him. Why did he kill these innocent children and not kill Whitney, the one that he had the grievance with? If he was going to kill anyone. Or why not just kill himself? This is the other thing, so selfish. It's like, I'm suicidal, so I'm going to take everybody with me. People get suicidal. And, I just remember seeing on one crime video that I was watching, a policeman said, if someone's suicidal, they're homicidal, in my opinion. That was an experienced detective saying that. Suicidal means homicidal, as far as I can see. Because a lot of people, yes, I don't think that is like the ultimate selfishness, isn't it? I mean, at the end of the day, your life belongs to you. So if you decide to take your life for whatever reason, it's very sad. But it is your choice. It is your choice. Because it is your life. And it's to me, I still think it's a bit selfish because of the people you're leaving behind that have to recover from it. But anyway, you can't, at the end of the day, it's your life to live or not live according to what you think. But the height of selfishness, isn't it, to decide to take the children with you or anybody else? Like these sort of school shooters and things like that, they're suicidal. So they go off and kill a load of kids because they don't want to live. So they take their lives away from the kids. Again, it's spite. A lot of it's spite, isn't it? It's like you're all having a great time and enjoying your lives. I'm not enjoying mine. So I'm going to take my life. But not only that, I'm going to take all your lives as well. It's just, that has got to be it's a terrible crime, that. To commit suicide. Oh, I'm not supposed to say that on YouTube, but take your own life is so sad, and I always think it's the wrong thing to do, but at the end of the day, it is your choice. It's an individual's choice. But to go and do that and take other people's lives, especially this twonk, taking his 3 beautiful girls' lives, just I can't get my head around it, and I don't think there's going to be a lot of forgiveness for it. I honestly don't. How can he be forgiven?
Because the last time he was seen alive is when he picks up his daughters for this visit that he was supposed to have. That was on May 30th. Their bodies are found June 2nd. So that's kind of the window between when this happened. I guess how long does it take for that heat signature or anything like that to just disappear and vanish? Like, how much of a headway do you get with the 24 to 48 hours where people didn't know where he was and where these girls were?
Well, the heat signature will be coming off him directly. So that's going to, it's not going to, in other words, It doesn't, you pass through an area, you're not leaving so much a heat trail. It's a heat signature confined to you. But as let's say he took himself out, he will be putting off a heat signature for 5 or 6 days, a smaller one, but we're looking for in there is what's called delta value, the difference between that heat and the ambient temperature and the ground temperature. And one thing that's good in that area is it does get pretty, it gets cold. So you have that. So even for a decomposing cadaver, those gases still have certain temperatures to them. And so you can pick that up, but only for 5-6 days. And in that, most likely he probably traveled just out of that area as quick as he could for a couple of days before he made any decision. And so, and that's wide open wilderness, and not knowing which direction he started, it's really hard, Yeah.
When you see cases where, and even in cases I know,
because it is a massive area. Now, don't forget, he didn't take his truck with him. He didn't take. So this is the other reason I think he's in that area, is the dog. So his dog was still there around the girls. So to me, if Travis would have left that area, I think that dog would have followed him. I just do. So that's what suggests to me that he is there somewhere. Now, I'm surprised the dog wasn't with his body, though. The dog seems to be protecting the girls, maybe. Do you think the dog tried to protect the girls even from Travis as he was doing what he was doing to them? Who knows? But how, just left his dog there, let his dog survive, which I'm glad he let his dog survive, but murdered his children. And I'm sorry, I know, as you say, Moonbeam, when someone's got suicidal ideation, they don't think straight. I know that. But lots of people have it and they don't murder their 3 daughters, do they? So to me, something more to that. More. It's like, how many people have suicidal ideation? Loads. There's probably not one person or not many people who haven't at some point felt that they can't see a way out of whatever their situation is and thought about it, and as a possibility of an escape. I know I have over the years. I'm sure other people have. I bet there's not many people who have never, ever, ever had it come into their head. But, to me, Travis is different from that. It's not about the fact that it's not about mental health or just that. I think you've got to be a bad person to do that, because lots of people have the intent to self-harm, but they don't think about doing it to somebody else. So to me, there's more to it than that. He's a bad person just basically because he's done it out of spite. It's not. I don't believe it's to do with mental health issues at all, to be honest. because I think he just did it to be nasty. Sometimes people are just nasty. You know, it's not a mental health issue to be a twonk. It's just, you know, you're a bad person.
You do missing persons cases where it's not a foul play situation. It's just someone who doesn't want to be found. And when you think of the resources for this, I mean, typically what is the reason that someone, beyond just, I mean, obviously he's in this big forest and it's a rural part of the country, vast wilderness, I get that. But like, what typically is the reason that someone can get away without leaving much of a trail? What do they do that just seems to make it really difficult to find them?
So it's, you know, it's getting out of the immediate area as quick as you can, and then leaving, you know, no trace, whether it be using like booty covers for the shoes and not leaving prints like that, you know, making sure you don't leave any trash or anything behind like that, because that's what they're looking for. You know, their man trackers that they're putting out front of the search team are doing what's called sign cutting. They're looking for areas that have been patted down by footprints. There's which way they're going, you know, brush, higher brush that may have been, you can tell has been you know, walked through, because these are areas that nobody else will be walking through, and they're leading those man trackers are, and then the teams are coming behind them and doing more of a thorough search, and that can be a very slow process, you know, figuring out. But it's amazing, you know, what they can do. They can figure out if a person's injured by the way that the indentations of the footprints. If they're, you know, putting more pressure on one side than the other. I mean, these people are trained in that, which I'm not. Have amazing capabilities. So, but I don't think they've picked up much of that, to be honest with you. So I don't know. Maybe he traveled a more known trail that there was lots of footprints on, so they can't determine anything, and then got miles out of the area and then ducked out into the you know, more remote areas. And you know, it can be literally impossible, especially if he's dead now. You know, at some point he's gonna, you know, if he's alive, he's leaving some sort of footprint, whether it be an actual footprint or digital footprint or whatever it may be, somewhere, and he's having to survive somehow. But if he's dead, boy, it's a lot of country to find remains, because he probably is curled up in a shelter type of, you know, natural shelter, whether it be in a rock cave or whatever. It can just be a real task, but they seem very committed to it, you know, seeing it through.
Yeah, and it was
Now, people there talking about his military history. Let's have a look, because I've got found a video here. Let's just a short video. Let's see what his military history was like.
Alejandro Guzman. Everyone is anxiously trying to learn more about Travis Decker.
Yeah, so Ali, you've been in contact with somebody who was in the same Army platoon as Travis Decker. So what are they telling you?
Well, they're sharing quite a bit. I can tell you that there's more clarity now as to who he is, his personality these last few years, and some of his recent behavior following this tragedy. Now, the individual who I've been speaking with does want to remain anonymous, but they did share these images of Decker back from 2017 after they were finishing a march in Europe. The two were in the same squad, in the same platoon, in the same company, while they were stationed together in the 503rd Airborne Brigade combat team with the 173rd Airborne in Italy. They tell me Decker was kicked out of Ranger Regiment for failing Ranger School. Now, many of you have been
kicked out for failing Ranger School. You know, when I see those pictures from muscle bound, and that just makes me so angry. Those poor little girls defenseless against him. Oh God. So if he's not, you know, just want to poke his eyes out.
questioning whether or not he was a Ranger. We've all seen some of the same photos of Decker in his uniform with a Ranger patch, but according to my source, he wasn't, because after getting kicked out, that's when Decker was transferred to their platoon, and that's where they shared a little bit more about who he was, just saying that he was a fit but quiet guy, sort of an outcast, yet a hard worker and a bit of a narcissist. They tell me by this time, Decker and Whitney already had their firstborn, Peyton. happy. Decker eventually did warm up to his comrades, sharing that he aspired to be like his father and talked about getting back to special forces, but they say he never did. They say it was like Decker had some big shoes to fill. From what they know, his father was a Green Beret and he worshipped him. They did remain friends on social media, but they say that after these murder and kidnapping accusations, well, Decker actually deleted all of his videos and pictures and started unfollowing the majority of those who were in his company. Now, again, the loss of Peyton, Olivia, and Evelyn are hitting his teammates hard. They say that everyone who served with Decker is feeling betrayed and are distraught to learn of what has happened. That's the latest.
Oh, so that's interesting. So it seems like his father was a Green Beret. His father was a Green Beret and he couldn't live up to his father's footsteps. And of course, he had 3 daughters, didn't he? I wonder if he wanted a boy, like, you know what they're like, a chip off the old block. Maybe he didn't value girls in the same way as boys. Seemed like a hero worshipped his father. And now his father, since everything that's happened, has obviously come off social media and stuff like that. Sometimes it happens, doesn't it? These boys, they worship their fathers, hero worship their fathers, even when sometimes they're not perhaps that good fathers. And, he didn't live up to his father's expectations. That's interesting, isn't it? Let's carry on watching this. Where am I? Let's carry on watching. Go back to the other video.
I thought there was a good quote. I think it was from the FBI agent who was doing the news conference. And he said, if he were to be alive, that he has to be perfect every single day. And we just need to be perfect one time.
That's right.
Like the second he makes a mistake or leaves a trace behind, if he were still to be alive. How common, though, is it that someone, because it seems, 3 months, and this seemed to be a case that went cold pretty quickly for them. How common is it that you would have a case where it just seems like the FBI has no clue where he is whatsoever?
Well, I do think that they have a clue. I think that even if they're determined, like, he traveled through a common area and then split off, I think they have a good idea of what he did. They're having to go back and cover everything. They're looking for other evidence probably now. There'd be little things, he could have dropped, maybe a SIM card or a burner or something like that. But, just because they're FBI or just because they're Marshal Service or whatnot, they're not magicians. They can't, if a person's got a head start on you, and especially if they're deceased. Now, the odds of them evading for more and more months are a lot lower if they're alive, but when they're dead, it can become possible because you don't know what they were. That person's hiding at night when they want to sleep. That they're finding areas that are really difficult to be seen, whether it be in rock caves or even up in trees and wherever it may be. And if they succumb and just said, "Hey, I'm done," and they take their life there, it could be possible unless an animal then drags those bones out over time, which.
Yeah, it's exactly right, isn't it? I was saying it's much harder to find a dead person than it is a live person, because a live person will be giving away something, some sort of tracks or some sort of, even if it's the thermal imaging, if the helicopters go over or whatever and they're doing the thermal imaging, they'll pick up the heat, etc. Whereas a dead person is giving away no clues whatsoever, are they? So they are much harder to find. That's why I do think Travis is dead. I really, really do, because he's not been seen. There's been no clue picked up of him, no insight. He's either dead or he had a bunker already dug and he's hiding somewhere because he'd planned it. That's the two alternatives to me. I don't believe he's gone to Canada. I don't believe he's on the run anywhere, because I think something somewhere would have been picked up eventually, or he would have been seen. I know he can hide his he can disguise his image, he can grow a beard, he can shave his head, he can do all those things, but there's a limit to how much you can hide your appearance.
Animals do scatter bones because they, the salt in the bones and whatnot. And then so that could start happening. Or after a huge storm, sometimes we'll see remains start shifting and moving around just as the elements move around.
That was my next question is, if he's dead and he, maybe he, whatever way he took his own life, and maybe he did it in a way where he didn't want to be found, and he put it there. And then, I mean, what's the window of time that law enforcement would have to find those remains before it's reasonable to believe that we'll never know what happened to Travis Decker after this?
That time may have already passed as far as determining a cause and manner of death, unless it was, listen, if it's say suicide with a firearm, there'll be a sign of that firearm there. And then also the bones themselves, a skull would show that. But as far as any other clues, we probably lost that unless it was in his clothing. He left some sort of note, which could be the case. He could write and be one of these people who writes a manifesto, we don't know about. And that's another reason to make sure to find him. But as far as his body itself,
there's got to be clothes somewhere. That's what there's got to be. I mean, he hasn't gone and took all his clothes off and killed himself. And even if he'd done that, then the clothes would be somewhere. That's what makes me wonder why the FBI haven't said definitively that this is Travis yet. Because surely if it was Travis or wasn't him, if these bones that they've found do belong to a person, surely there'd be clothes. Surely.
Beyond identification at this point, it's probably not going to be super helpful as far as figuring out why he did what he did.
Right. Yeah. It's fascinating that, when it happened, and it seems like he was able to, in some ways, cover his tracks in the early stages, and what happened to him, maybe we'll never know, but the search continues. FBI seems that from what they're saying, and the sheriff, they're in it for the long haul. They were talking about it taking years and trying to set a base. So one day, whoever is the sheriff in that county, that they'll have information to go with. Steve Fisher, missing persons private investigator. It's always great to have you on Law and Crime. Thanks for helping us.
Thanks for having me.
Travis Decker is considered armed and dangerous.
Yeah.
That will do it for On the Case.
So basically, that's why, I do like Steve Fisher's insights on everything. Now, so America's asleep at the moment, of course, while it's daytime in Spain. America won't be waking up for a few hours yet. I'm just checking on X, and that's just to see if anything else has been said yet, which it hasn't, because it's nighttime there. So maybe tomorrow, today, this evening, as far as Spain is concerned, something will be declared, but I don't know. But to me, I'm not sure that those bones are his, because I do feel that maybe they would have known that already. But anyway, they're right to be cautious, to send them off to make absolutely sure. It may be that they feel that it is Travis, or it may be that they feel that it isn't. But they want to send them off, test them, make sure, because they don't want to give out any information that might later prove to be incorrect. So that's how it is. So we get frustrated. We want investigations to be resolved quickly, don't we? It's true what Steve said there. They might be the FBI, but they're not miracle workers. They just have to plod through. A lot of detective work is actually boring, painstaking, lengthy. They get a break, and then it all has to be sort of verified, etc. So it's a waiting game, isn't it? And unfortunately, it's too late. It's not to save these girls, is it? It's to try and get justice for them. These girls are, hopefully in a better place. It's a shame. They never got a chance to fulfill their lives, to fulfill their promise. Travis got that. He might have had a dad who was a bit of a twonk, I don't know, but he got a chance to go in the army, have children, get married. He had all those experiences, and he hasn't allowed his children to have those experiences. They won't get those experiences. And anyway, what a twonk. Okay, thank you for watching. Thank you so much for caring, of course, about these girls. You know, this is, sometimes you just feel we care more about these kids than their own parents. I don't mean Whitney, because Whitney obviously cares about the kids. But, you know, how could he not care about his children? But again, with the Jake Harrow and Rebecca Harrow and baby Emmanuel, feels like we care more than their own parents. And that baby, I hope that little baby gets found, you know, and laid to rest with dignity. At least these kids have, you know, been able to, Whitney's allowed to, been able to bring them home, lay them to rest. I presume they're all together. Look at that picture. Just look at them all hugging on that picture. It's a beautiful picture. Just makes me cry, bless them. So, yeah, let's put some candles up. I'm going to put some candles in the chat if I can. Very sad. But yeah, thank you for watching. Thank you for caring. Any news, I'll be on to tell you about it. Take care of yourselves. I'll see you really soon in the next video. And until then, may your God go with you. Bye.